Hey everyone, welcome back. So hopefully this is another short video, and what we're looking at here is in the example of cookie clicker, we have this small text here that just says however many clicks there are per second. So this is our where we left off last, and what we want to do is we want to put that per clicks per second here. So if we scroll to the first column where we have donuts, we'll just add it. We'll create a new line, and then what we'll do is actually we'll even say small, so it's written in small. So we'll say per second, like that. So you can see here the writing slightly smaller, and I do want a full sentence, clicks per second. Cool. So now let's look at how we're going to incorporate the code for that. We have a function that works out. Let's minimize our functions actually, hold on. I'm going to make a small change. So we've got make donuts and we've got workers make donuts. When we hire a worker, we run this function here that says if workers are working. Okay, so what I want to do now is I'm going to remove this from this function and I'm going to add it to another function. And I'm going to call it a function of its own. The reason for this is because as we add upgrades, so for example, as we add workers and then we might add a manager, we might add stores and so on and so forth. We're going to want to have this in a separate function and we want to work out how many clicks there are per second. So to do that, at the top here, I'm going to write a new function. Let's just do it below show toast. So we'll say function. Let's just say workers are working function. And then what we'll do is we're going to create a local variable here called donuts per second. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create another one that just works out how many workers there are. And it depends on, so we're going to expand this. So let's start by saying, so ds, so donuts per second equals, we're going to say workers, and I'm going to multiply that by 0.1. So if I put this in brackets, now what this does then is, what we're saying is if we had workers should be going, one click every 10 seconds. And I know that in my example here, when we did workers make donuts, I know we had that at 1000 milliseconds per each one. So that basically means 1 second. But then what we want to do is when we do our upgrade, so we include, for example, a manager and then a store and whatever other upgrades we have, they're going to work at a faster pace. But this first one needs to be at every 10 seconds. So we want to multiply however many workers there are by sort of like 1/10 of a second. Sorry, once every 10 seconds. And then what we can do then is we can expand that. So for example, if we have managers, and then we just expand that like this. So I'm going to leave this blank for now. Let's put that there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say donuts. Oops, not donuts. Donuts per second is equal to ds per second, but we're going to include a JavaScript function to fixed, which basically means it fixes it to 2 decimal places, which is similar to what we did before. Right, so now after that, what we're going to do is we're going to run that function that we were talking about. So we're going to check if workers are working. So I'm going to borrow this from here. So we're going to say if workers are working, let's borrow that up to here. Yep. And we'll call that here. We'll say if workers are working, we'll leave that there. And like we said, that should be every 10 seconds, right? And what we'll do is we'll add an upgrade to this so you kind of see what I'm talking about. We want to display this at the end as well. So we'll say here, we'll say, in fact, why bother? Let's borrow that. Oh God. Let's borrow this. So we'll take that and we'll just bring it to the top here. And let's do this. So we'll say document get an ID, and we'll give this an ID here as well. So per second, we'll add that here. So we'll add a span tag, and in the span we'll say give an ID of clicks per second, like that. So that will go there, and then we'll take this one here, and we'll display that. Oh, and then what we'll do is we're going to take this function here, and when this is meant to happen, so when we hire workers, where are we? Should be here, right? Where did I take it from? I think I took it from here. So we'll do this. So our workers will go up, the cost of workers will go up, and then we'll run that function to see if they're working already. And if they are working already, then obviously this will happen. Okay, so so then what we'll do is we'll add an upgrade. So we'll see what the upgrade will look like, right? So let's say, for example, underneath, let's bring that here. So underneath here where we say hire worker, let's add another one here. Okay, and we'll call this one hire manager. So we'll say manager, and we'll say the cost of a manager is 100. And we'll change that to manager as well. So then we need a new function that does exactly the same thing. So we'll do that. So where we have hire worker, we'll literally copy and paste this. Let's copy and paste that. Let's minimize the top one. So here we're going to say hire manager. And we'll say cost. In fact, we need some new variables. So at the top here, we have workers 0. Let's also have a new variable for managers equals 0. And then we have cost of worker. Oh, my bad. We have cost of worker. We'll now add cost of manager. And we said the cost of manager was 100. So we now have that. And then what we'll do is, wherever it says cost of worker, we'll change that to cost of manager. Cost of worker, cost of manager. And then that's going to call the same function. Okay. That one there is going to be managers. Number of, we'll change it to number of managers, number of. So we're just making simple changes here, nothing crazy. And then we'll say cost of the cost of manager, and we said that that should be managers. So we'll borrow that, and we'll replace workers with managers. Do I anywhere else? That looks okay for me. Cool. Obviously I'm missing something here. Well, we've got workers, we need to have managers here as well. So got workers, we'll borrow that. And we'll say managers. Managers, number of managers. What does that leave us with? We've got cost of in our button where we say hire manager, we said that should be cost of manager, not cost of worker. So I think we kind of cover all bases now, and we should be able to hire managers. Only thing missing then is if we minimize that, if we just go back to the top here where we have if workers are working, we're now going to create one more of those. So at the top we have this, our workers working, and it equals false. We're going to have one more of these, And this will be our managers working. Very creative. Just working, I set to false. So then here we're going to do the same check. And that one should be this one. So we'll do that. And we'll put that there. So this will now be our managers working equals false. If they are, if they're not, then obviously we're going to make that true. And we're going to come back to workers make donuts, but rather than do it once every 10 seconds, we're going to do it once every second. So basically the interval, so they make donuts at a much faster interval, right? That's the whole point. So now that we've done that, we can come back up a bit more and we can come back to here and we can also say this. We can say managers multiplied by 1. So basically per second, we're working out that we have, sort of 1 click per second if we have managers, depending on how many managers there are. So then there's our clicks per second. And if we go back to here, where we have clicks per second, so our clicks per second, it begins with 0. And let's test this out. Let's click on save. And if we have some donuts to begin with. We sold them. And if we hire a manager, I don't have enough money for a manager. Damn. Let's cheat some more. Let's make that 500,000. Because the purpose of this is just to see if it works. So if I sell donuts now, and if I hire a manager, it should now be moving. Oh no. DS per sec. Oh, I spelled it wrong. Okay, so here I've got capital P. So I've got to put capital P here as well. Let's try that one more time. Oh. Right, now I've updated. I've now got a manager and it says clicks per second equals 1. What we want to do is, because this function here is going to run, oh God. This function here is going to run workers make donuts. But when we look at workers make donuts here, it's only going to multiply it by the amount of workers there are, but now we have managers as well. So we're going to make a change to that as well. And what we're going to say is, we're going to say workers, so donuts equals donuts plus workers multiplied by the donuts multiple. And then we'll do this, so we'll say plus. And I think what I'll do is I'll put this on a new line, just so it makes it a bit easier to read. So then what we're going to say is managers multiplied by, we're going to say, should I say managers multiple? Yes, I'm going to do it. So I'm going to do managers multiple, because when we do stores and other updates, the multiples won't be 1. So let's say, for example, then the manager should be able to do, let's say 10 donuts per second, right? Or we said 1 donut per second. So I'm going to make that 1 as well. So we'll do that. Variable managers multiple equals 1. Okay, so where were we? We're here, so managers multiple. And then that should work now. And if I want to add more, so for example, I can do that here. I can add another one. Let's add another plus. And let's say I wanted to add stores. Okay, it's going to be a case of stores times by stores multiple, which might be 10 per second or something like that, or 100 per second. I'm going to remove that for now because I don't need it. Let's do that. Whoops. Plus. And that should be fine. Oh, no. Cool. So now when we try that, if we sell our donuts and we hire a manager, it says clicks per second equals 1, and it's going at 1 per second. Now when we hire a worker, it should say 1.1, and then that should increase once every 10 seconds. We should get an extra click. So now we're able to increase by however many we have. Yeah, so now we'll look ticks per second. Another manager. Yeah, and it seems to work. Cool. So that's that video really then. So if we recap then in this video, what we did was we created another function that says workers are working. And what we did was we removed where we say when we hire a worker, we removed the bit that checks the intervals and we made a new function. So we refactored that so that now we've got it for hire worker and we've got it for hire manager as well. So we've got a new function here at the top that checks to see if workers are working. It's a function, and it checks to see more than one worker, and it runs separate intervals. You know, once every 10 seconds for workers, and once every second for managers. And then if we to do another one, such as stores, and if we to do another one, let's say factory, we can keep going up and up. Yeah. So right, that's this video. And I'll see you guys in the next one. And what we'll probably do then is we'll probably decorate our donut button, and we'll probably add a different layout, and we'll change the buttons that we mentioned. So we said our buttons will look more like this, where we'll have a name and we'll have a number of the items on the right hand side. So we'll look at that in our next video. I'll see you then.